So Tesla Maesla, right? Longtime shareholder, has done me tremendous. Obviously, I own a very, very small amount of shares compared to what I used to own, back before it made its, obviously, its epic run, right? And, always very, very grateful for, Tesla being such a successful investment. And so I still hold 777 shares in the public count, about $184,000. $174,000 of that's profits. And then I also hold some shares in the Patreon portfolio as well. It's probably less than 10% of what I used to hold, a few years ago, right? So in regards to Tesla, the numbers, listen, garbage, straight garbage. I told you guys it was going to be garbage. If you follow me on X, right, which I always have linked in the description area of all my videos. If you follow me on the main channel, and if you even follow me on the reaction channel, I believe I even told you guys everything that was going to play out on these Tesla earnings before they even came out. I said the numbers are going to be trash. If they give anything around guidance, it's going to be trash, which we didn't get much as far as that goes. It's really all about Elon Musk and what he has to say here. So the numbers are bad, right? Revenue was a miss by a mile. They did $19.3 billion. They're expected to do well over $21 billion. EPS was a miss by a mile. Like they were supposed to do like 42 cents, 27 cents. Major misses there. The income statement, I mean, I might be too generous giving them a D-. This was really bad. Revenues went down to $19.3 billion total revenues compared to $21.3 billion the same quarter last year. Keep in mind, Tesla's supposed to be a growth company. We're several growth businesses. And the company has revenues in decline by $2 billion. It's a disaster. It's a dumpster fire, right? Gross profit down to $3.1 billion from about $3.7 billion the same quarter last year. If we go ahead and take a peek at net income, $409 million from almost $1.4 billion. If we look at diluted EPS, 41 cents the same quarter last year, 12 cents in this quarter. Dumpster fire. D for dumpster fire. And like I said, that was pretty generous. I even gave them a D- in regards to that. Automotive revenues down 20% year over year. Awful. Now, positive, energy generation and storage revenue, 67% growth year over year. That's a phenomenal number. Keep in mind that business is decelerating now, though. The growth rate is starting to decelerate. And so, that business had been growing at like 100% plus clip. Now we're down to 67%. And then if you look on a quarter over quarter basis, that business was actually down. So the moral of the story is the numbers are still phenomenal there, but if they don't get that business back rolling here very, very shortly, we could be looking at energy generation and storage revenue that starts to flatline, folks. Flatline. No one's even looking at this stuff. And I'm like, becomes a game of math. They just did $2.7 billion. Keep in mind, they're going to have to comp next quarter against a $3 billion number. So now to show any sort of major growth, they're going to need to do like $4 billion plus next quarter. I don't know if they're going to have a $4 billion type quarter next quarter, which means we could see an energy storage business actually flatline or very slight growth, or worst case scenario, actually start to decline on a year over year basis. This is important, man. Very, very important. That's one of the very few bright spots for Tesla over the past number of years. Services and other revenue was up 15%. Good number, but not good compared to what Tesla had been posting. We had been thinking like 20, 30% growth there. So 15%, little disappointing, I got to be honest with you, right? So, not ideal. And then look at what we're going to have to start comping against. Services and other revenue did $2.6 billion. Guess what? In Q2 of last year, $2.6 billion. So all of a sudden, services and other revenue next quarter, dude, we might be talking about single-digit growth. We could be talking about flatlining or down. I don't think we're going to go down as far as services and other revenue, but is it possible we flatline it or very single-digit growth? That's honestly a realistic possibility. And so do keep that in mind, man. These are like major, major things, and I don't even think people are honestly looking at these numbers. Total GAAP gross margins for the company down 104 basis points, down to 16.3%. The only glimmer of good news in regards to that is if you look at Q4, basically total GAAP gross margin is the same number, 16.3%. So some positive there that it's not continuing to go down. Now, if you look at operating margin, 2.1% for the company, absolutely dumpster fire number, right? I mean, just awful. This quarter last year wasn't even a good quarter. We did 5.5%. So now that we're down to 2.1%, no bueno. That's down 343 basis points year over year. Adjusted EBITDA margin, 14.6%, down 133 basis points year over year. If we look at on a GAAP basis, net income down 71% year over year. And keep in mind, this wasn't even like last year in this quarter wasn't even a great year for the numbers. That's the thing you understand. Like, even last year at this time, we were not having some booming like, oh, our business is so great. No, Tesla was already going through troubles. And so to see now 71% down on last year's numbers, which were not even impressive to begin with, is disastrous. Non-GAAP net income down 39% year over year. Now, glimmer of good news. Cash and cash equivalents and investments up 38% year over year, rate around $37 billion. Why is that important? What that means essentially is even though Tesla's going through really tough times right now, they're still able to invest into the business. It's very important. The company can still invest in the business. They can still, invest in Optimus and, robo taxis and all these things that are hopefully going to be the things of the future, right? And cheaper cars, whatever. And at the end of the day, like even cheaper cars is not the final solution right now for the company if you really look at the business model, because honestly, Tesla's now, as far as the United States perspective, Teslas are now some of the most affordable new cars you can buy in the market, or lease. Model 3 is now one of the most affordable, good quality vehicles you can literally buy. Same thing with Model Y. And the same thing when it comes to leasing, it's hard to compete with them. So I don't even think it's pricing now at this point in time that is the issue in regards to Tesla. It's not like it was, 5 years ago when Tesla was known as an expensive vehicle. Oh, that's a vehicle people with a lot of money drive. Not anymore. Tesla's cheap now at this point in time, right? Now, some other important things here, right? Conference call got it off to a really bad start. Elon Musk starts talking about Doge this, Doge that, and, paid protesters are coming against me because, they're mad because I'm cutting expenses. No, Elon. He's just out there on a cloud. The reason so many people are pissed off at Elon Musk is because of so many of the ridiculous things he's posted on X over time that some people view as, anti-certain religions, anti-certain people in certain countries, all those sorts of things. It has nothing to do with, everybody's mad because I'm cutting it. No. People are pissed because of all the other crap you've been posting, dude. And he's just on some fairy cloud of thinking it's because of it. And no, it's not. Okay? They're mad because of these other things. It's ridiculous. Also, Elon Musk commits to starting to cut down time spent at Doge considerably in May, which is good news. Bad news, though, here is he also, right after that, he mentioned he's talking about spending 1 to 2 days at Doge for Trump's entire presidency. That's a fundamental change to Tesla's business model. We're talking that's Trump's going to be in office for almost another 4 years, right? That's a long time. And so to take 1 to 2 days at Doge for the next basically almost 4 years, not ideal. Not ideal, right? And plus, Elon's got a lot of other businesses that take his time, right? Plus all the other stuff he does. So at the end of the day, that means how much attention is Tesla really getting? Honestly, how much attention is Tesla really getting? 1 day a week, 2 days a week, right? Because we know SpaceX needs some. We know the Boring Company needs some, and what they're doing in Neuralink, and he owns X. Did we forget about that, right? And what they're doing at Grok and all the AI products. Oh my gosh. So the moral of the story is, if you were hoping Elon Musk is really going to focus in at Tesla, it honestly doesn't sound like it. It sounds like maybe he'll cut his time down a bit, but at the end of the day, he's still going to spend a lot of time on Doge for the next several years based upon what he said on the conference call. And he's got a ton of other companies. And so, Tesla's just going to not get the undivided attention we would hope for as shareholders, which means, who's really running the show? Who's really running the show? At the end of the day, when you're spending 1 day a week at your company or 2 days a week, other people are focused full time on that, and they will come in and they will beat you over time, right? And we'll get into that in just a moment in terms of competition and whatnot, right? Elon Musk has said that it's possible to sell 1 million Optimus per year by 2029 to 2030, right? I said I call BS, but we'd be happy to be wrong. Spoiler alert, I won't be, right? Somebody said, "Oh, why are you a hater? Why are you a hater?" Right? A hater, a person that greatly dislikes a specific person or thing. I've always loved Elon. Always loved Tesla. So certainly not me as far as a hater. But you know what I am not? I'm not a delusional person. And you got a lot of people that are delusional people in regards to Elon and Tesla and everything that's going on here. Delusional person holds persistent, fixed beliefs that are not based on reality and are resistant to change even when presented with contradictory evidence. Okay? The moral of the story is a delusional person is clueless, right? They're just like, I'm this way, right? I could say, I'm going to be the richest person in the world in 4 years. I'm a multi-millionaire. Look at how much my net worth's gone up over the next 10 years. I'm going to be the richest person in the world in 4 years. I could say that, right? I'm going to be richer than Elon Musk. Am I delusional if I said that? Yes. That's a delusional statement. And so when Elon throws out these things, you got to understand this man was promising, robo taxis on this stuff like 100 years ago. This is nothing new. Like, he's been predicting this stuff for a long time, and we're still not even to the point of actually having these in the market. We're hoping we're getting closer, but and so all these predictions about we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Stop it, man. Just stop it. It's ridiculous. Okay? Optimus could be a big thing at some point in the 2030s, in the 2040s, then we can talk. But if you think it's going to be any time in the next, 4 or 5 years and some mass production, they're going to be all over the place and cleaning your yard for you, dream on, okay? Dream on. And so it's just ridiculous. You can't be delusional. Delusional people do not do well with money over time. They don't. You've got to be realistic. You can look at the world glass half full, but don't be delusional. And that's what the issue is. A lot of people are delusional, and, it's going to come back to bite them. Now it leads us to competition. If I looked at Tesla 5 years ago, I would say Tesla was 5 years ahead of the competition. And they truly were, right? And Steve Jobs, he put Apple 5 years ahead of the competition before he passed away, right? But then eventually companies started to catch up to Apple, right? And because Elon Musk has really taken his eye off the prize over the last 3 years, it's allowed other competitors to essentially come in and actually start to compete in the market, whereas the competition is coming, used to be a joke in regards to Tesla. We used to laugh at that years ago. I can't even laugh at that anymore. The fact is, I look at competition even in the US, I'm like, crap, man, they're really catching up. I'm looking at some of these EVs starting to come to market with some of the ranges they have, some of the features they have, and I'm like, dude, they're not that far behind now at this point in time. It used to be a joke. It's not a joke anymore. And then in China also the competition used to be a joke. It used to be not as far behind as the US and Europe, but I'll be honest with you guys, the Chinese competition I wouldn't even view the Chinese competition as behind Tesla anymore. When you look at what the Chinese companies have in the market now, you would say those are actually pretty dang comparable to a Tesla. You would say, well, maybe you choose a Tesla, maybe you choose this car, but there's not a lot of difference. The Chinese are right there neck and neck now at this point in time with Tesla. And the US competition is not far behind. And I'm just telling you guys, 5 years ago, that was not the situation. 7 years ago, Tesla was so far ahead. But because Elon Musk has taken his eye off the prize and he wants to focus on Doge and focus on X and all this stuff he's been focusing on and getting more into politics, he's let these other guys catch up. And it's ridiculous, man, because it should have never happened. It should have never happened, right? No, he also said in the conference call, and I posted this on my X a little while ago, said, Elon Musk, he was talking about basically a Tesla probably costs, 25% or 20% of what a Waymo costs, because they're talking about, competition as far as the rideshare market, robo-taxi opportunity, right? So, or Waymo's way more expensive than a Tesla. Yes. Now, there could be debate, is it 50% or 70%, whatever the number is, yes. But here's where I'll push back. I can go ride Waymos in several cities right now. Several cities, major cities right now. And I've done it. And the product's pretty dang good. They're in the market today, making money today, okay? And they're expanding rapidly across major cities across the United States. They're really becoming the first big player that everybody's going to know in terms of getting into a car, and the car's going to drive me somewhere without a driver inside, okay? That's happening today. The other thing I'll say about this is Waymo has way more ability to cut down on that cost over the next 5-10 years. Tesla is not going to be able to cut costs that much on vehicles now at this point in time because they've been working on that tremendously over the years. So Tesla now, to go from, say it costs them $25,000 to make a Model 3. Let's just say that's a number, right? Like for them to go to 25,000 to 20,000, hard, very, very hard because they've already focused so much on the cost of the vehicles. It's getting very, very difficult for them to bring down cost anymore now, okay? Waymo, if we're talking about them cutting down costs from, let's say, $100,000 down to $50,000, way easier for them to do that than Tesla to go from 25 to 20, essentially, right? So that's where I'll push back against that. And so, Waymo, I feel like even here in Elon Musk's tonality, I still don't think he's taken Waymo nearly serious enough. And I think if he was really actually taking this more serious, I don't think he would be doing Doge and all this other mumbo jumbo he's really doing. I think he's taking a very egotistical approach in regards to what's going on here. And then Amazon's product is now starting to take off on the Las Vegas Strip, the city I live in, right? Las Vegas. And so Amazon's going to push hard against that for the next 5-10 years. So they're going to, and Tesla's going to have way more serious competition in this market than they had certainly in the automobile market. Like, who do you want to compete against? Ford, GM, massive debt-laden companies that are not known for innovation? That's easy peasy lemon squeezy. That's who Tesla's been competing with, right? And Chrysler and Dodge and Volkswagen, easy peasy lemon squeezy. You want to talk about competing against Google, competing against Amazon? Those are the competitors Tesla's about to go against. Uber? Dude, this is a whole other level. There's a whole other level, right? And by the way, Tesla still is actually at small volumes compared to actually the Fords and the GMs and the Volkswagens and those sorts of companies in regards to total vehicles sold. And that's way easier competition. Now you're going to have to compete against a Google, Uber, Amazon. Like, whoo, boy. Like, we're talking, there's levels, right? And now this is going to be the big boy leagues. And so Elon's been way too boast his chest out like, oh, we got this whole game on lock. And I'm like, dude, these guys are in the market today. You can hop in their vehicles today and get rides. Not in a year from now, not in 3 years from now, not in 5 years from now, today. And so, I think that's very, very important that everybody understands that, right? Now, in regards to Tesla stock, and then we'll get into the reactions of the videos here, stock's up about 5% after hours. Stock could go right back down, in terms of, a few days from now or a week from now, whatever. What we needed to hear on the conference call, we didn't really get to hear. We needed to hear that Elon Musk was going to be done with Doge, like in May or June, and that we needed him to come out and say, I'm going to focus my full attention on Tesla. Full attention. Doge, I made great progress. I got a good team in place there, and they're going to carry things out from here. If we could have heard that, man, then we're talking. But to hear like he's committed to this thing for Trump's entire presidency, nah. You're about to go against Google and Amazon. You think you're going to win? We aren't even winning against the fucking Chinese. We're not even winning against the Chinese competitors. He's getting his ass kicked now in China. And that was not, like 3-5 years ago, there was no way we were going to have like serious competition in China. Now we got serious competition with the Chinese. Are you serious? And now he's about to go against Google and Amazon. He thinks he's just going to part-time it? Part-time it? Against Google and Amazon? Good luck. Good luck, man. Like, he's got to step up his seriousness in a major way. And he's not. And when you don't step up your seriousness in a major way, you're going to wonder why, you didn't win the way you thought. And you're going to blame it on because you got into politics or whatever. And it's just like, dude, you got to at some point wake up and be like, shit, man, like, this is serious. Like, if we want to win this robo-taxi opportunity, I better be spending 7 days a week at Tesla. And he's not committing to that. He's not committing to spending 7 days a week at Tesla. And that's what it's going to take if we're going to actually win this market and win this market around the globe, because this is a whole different level of competition, right? So, we didn't hear what we needed to hear. And if we had actually heard what we needed to hear, I mean, I think Tesla stock would have been up 20% after hours. I think it'd be just like, we're back, baby. Like Elon's fully focused on Tesla moving forward, like boom. But with a CEO that wants to play part-time, you're going to get part-time results. And that's exactly what we're getting. Garbage numbers, quarter after quarter. We blame it on this, we blame it on that, let's blame it on this. It's garbage, man. Company quarter in and quarter out posts garbage. It's not a debate. It's not an argument. These are trash numbers. Every quarter. Next quarter, trash numbers. Again. You know what the next quarter is going to be after that? Trash numbers. And what is Elon going to blame it on? Whatever. Maybe it's because you want to be a part-time CEO. And other guys are focused on being full-time CEOs. Hey, it's Jeremy. I hope you really enjoyed that clip here today. What you looking at in front of you right there? That's the 6-figure Hall of Fame. Do you want to see the next one? That's the 7-figure Hall of Fame. Now, that is my private group. Those are members of my private group that have scaled to 6 figures, multi-6 figures, 7 figures, multi-7 figures in their stock market portfolio. They say you are the average of the 5 people you associate with. If you're somebody that is having trouble finding other long-term investors that are focused on building their wealth over the coming years, finding like-minded folks, look no further than my private group. We got a tremendous amount of people. We're consistently talking with each other, learning from each other, researching companies together, sharing news about our different companies, right? We do all that inside my private group. If you would like to apply to join us in there, go down in the description area. There'll be an application down there. You can click on that and you can apply to join us in there and take your game up to a much higher level and associate with the type of folks that you actually want to associate with. Alrighty, so first up here, how do I feel about Tesla earnings? Well, not good. I mean, as I put on X, and I don't know if you guys follow me on X or not, I'm always posting a lot of content on there, and I always have that linked in the description area of all my videos, so if you ever want to follow me on X, feel free to do so. You can go to the description area down there. But, numbers are going to be trash. The guidance, if they give any guidance, is going to be trash. We know that, right? Like, there's nothing good there. But I said, if you're wondering the only way the stock will spike massive on earnings, it would have to be Elon Musk saying he's stepping down from Doge soon and will focus his attention back on Tesla. If he did that, I think that could get people pretty excited. Now, is that going to make Tesla stock continue to go up after that initial spike this week? I don't know about that. But the moral of the story is, if Elon Musk says he's about to step down from Doge soon, he's about to focus, he's serious, he's about to focus back on Tesla again, Tesla needs his attention, that would be a huge confidence boost for the entire shareholder base. And I think a lot of people would say, I feel comfortable investing back into Tesla because Elon Musk is about to focus back his attention on Tesla, which is going to mean good things, right? And so that's my opinion on that as far as Tesla earnings. And, those will be out in a few hours, and I'm sure I'll cover that probably tonight. And probably on the reaction channel here, I'll cover that, okay? Alrighty, let's get into these reaction videos.
Capital as well as a CNBC contributor. And I don't remember whether it was you or Pump when we were talking.
By the way, good day for the public count up $97,000 here today. So it's a nice multi-6 figure day across all the portfolios. So cheers out there.
About folks. Bitcoin sort of stuck under 85,000 with gold going up every day. And it was either you or Pump that said Bitcoin usually follows a couple of months later, but has a much bigger move.
That was probably Pump.
Probably, yeah. He's pretty bullish.
Yes.
Have you noticed anything similar to that? I mean, that's a pretty big move. And in the past, gold's been leaving in the past near term, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. This year, maybe. We have seen gold leave Bitcoin in the dust and go to new highs. Looks like it'll do 4,000 easily, right? Do you think Bitcoin eventually catches some of the same money, the same bid?
Yeah, I think Bitcoin earlier this year may have been struggling with some of the deleveraging that was happening for institutional investors.
Just selling what they could.
Yeah, selling what they could, and I think that suppressed Bitcoin, especially over weekends. But now that deleveraging is done, I think that Bitcoin is going to catch up to gold, and Bitcoin's old high was over 110,000. So I think there is a lot of room to catch up as a sort of non-dollar asset.
As for the
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Bitcoin bull, I think this has been one of the best times in history in terms of looking at Bitcoin and like really taking it very, very serious. And the reason being is, it's kind of always preached as like Bitcoin's kind of digital gold, but it never acted like digital gold. If you look at every single major sell-off in the market, Bitcoin would sell off massively more than that. It would not perform like you would expect gold to perform in a sell-off, right? Additionally, when you're in a risk-on market, it would fly to the moon and perform tremendous. That's not what happens with gold. This is the first time that Bitcoin is acting a little bit similar to gold. Now, keep in mind, Bitcoin is still very off the highs, but I'm looking at the kind of recent price performance of Bitcoin. It actually reminds you a little bit of gold, just not as strong, right? But you can kind of see like maybe in 10 or 20 years, people view it more as like a gold type asset. Now, by the way, that does not mean good things for the long-term appreciation of Bitcoin. Like the big, huge money and the crazy spikes in Bitcoin where you used to be able to make, just ridiculous returns, those days are now long gone. It does not mean making money in Bitcoin is long gone. It just means that insane periods of like, we're 4xing our money in the next year. That's long gone now at this point in time, right? Bitcoin's just too big of an asset. It's got too much money involved now at this point in time. There's too many players, including big players, that are happy to take profits even after a 10 or 20% rise. And so that's over time, that's why assets become very hard to continue to boost them up in any major way. Look at Apple stock, look at Microsoft, as a market cap gets bigger and bigger and you have more players, it gets more and more difficult to have those big, huge spikes. And you kind of, that's more like for smaller speculative assets.
equity markets, you think stocks are attractive, but uncertainty is still the name of the game and it's going to persist. You think the high in the VIX, what'd you say that was on April 7th, that holds?
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to match that level of fear again. So I think we're probably past peak uncertainty. I mean, even with this Fed controversy, but
Are we past peak uncertainty? The answer, in my opinion, absolutely, 100%. We are past peak uncertainty. There's no debating that, in my opinion, at all now at this point in time. When you look back to where we were at the beginning of April with the crazy tariffs announced, and oh my gosh, every single country has these crazy numbers, way more extreme than anybody thought, right? And also at that time, the Trump administration was really pitching things as like, we're not even really in a mood to negotiate with folks anytime soon. That was just crazy uncertainty, right? And now we're moving down to more certain levels, but it's not like it's everything certain out there, right? It's just less uncertain is the best way I could put it. So I 100% am in agreement with Tom Lee. 100%. We're already past peak uncertainty.
if we're past maximum pain, I think that there's still risk that the economic consequences are going to cause markets to be hesitant, but it's going to be hard to match that fear again. So I think a structural low did take place.
A structural low that, so far it's been holding very, very well from the S&P low we hit, was that 2 weeks ago now at this point in time. As far as maximum pain, we probably already hit maximum pain, but the thing that is, like a day like yesterday, I felt like was really hard for a lot of people to accept. Yesterday was a big downward day. Dow was down around 1,000 points. And by the way, the market's already doing better today than it did bad yesterday. But I just feel like yesterday was kind of a painful day for a lot of retail investors. A lot of them were kind of like thinking we're going to retest the lows and things like that. And so the only way I feel like the market could really be a lot more painful is if you just kind of like chop around here, up 1,000 points, down 1,000 points for several weeks. I think that could cause some more pain for folks, even if you didn't hit a new lower low. But then obviously if you hit a new lower low in the S&P 500, that could definitely cause some more pain out there and some more people to just feel like, just kind of dig down and out, right? Even though we're getting more certain with how things are going, it doesn't mean, if you hit a new lower low, that's going to freak a lot of people out. Not a super high probability of that, but if it happened, that would, definitely be painful for a lot of folks out there that are kind of looking for this market to go up. People like myself that have been in this game 16 plus years, it doesn't phase us. Like, the market could go down for 2 years straight and like that, fine, cool, 3 years straight, whatever, right? But for people that are newer investors, that really, really causes problems for them because they kind of need that like confirmation of like, I'm making money in the market, feeling like people like myself have made so much money in the market over the years that I don't need the market to go up every day. I don't need the market to go up every week or even every month or even every quarter or even every year for that matter. Like, that's fine. And also I'm very understanding of like some years the market doesn't go up. That's cool. Like, that's part of the process. That's part of the, the way things work.